conference is rotten to its core, and any of its follow-up events are the fruits of a poisonous tree. An anti-Semitic hate fest, no matter how noble or important its original goals, should not be commemorated, except as a tragic error never to be repeated.
All right, let's bring in Visvin Reddy. He's an activist for the African Democratic Change Party in South Africa and is joining us from Durban. Visvin Reddy, thanks for being with us. So just take us through how the Durban Declaration came about and what its relevance is in 2021.
Well, on the 31st of August 2021, the world converged in Durban for the 9-day United Nations World Conference Against Racism, Discrimination, Xenophobia, and related intolerance. And the meeting had about 2,300 representatives from 163 countries, including 16 heads of state, 58 foreign ministers, and 44 ministers. What is important is that one of the key outcomes of the conference was a resolution which declared that racism and any form of exclusion of human beings on the basis of their race or their social status or their caste, that these be regarded as as unlawful, as unacceptable. And this to us was a major victory. Unfortunately, that conference was marred with the issues in Israel, and some had made this an anti-Semitic platform. They walked out of that conference, and this is typical behavior of the politicians. It happens throughout the world, where we've realized that these politicians are simply taking the focus away from the people that put them there, and they bring in their own personal their own personal views, and they make that the key focus. And then this is the reason why people around the world are saying that we've had enough of leaders who politicize every issue that's confronting our people. Frankly, we don't care about what the politicians think. If our people are being oppressed in whatever way possible, in whichever part of the world, we want people out there in whichever platform that they stand to be able to speak out against injustices without being persecuted, without fear for being attacked from government and the law.
I think most people will agree with that, but I mean, you will, of course, distance yourself from any anti-Semitism that happened in those previous Durban Declaration meetings. And of course, you yourself were suspended from the ANC over comments that you made. So that just reveals, doesn't it, the difficulty of working in this area and saying certain things at this point.
You know, I'm one of those leaders, one of those community activists that takes responsibility for things that I do and say that might be wrong. How many politicians do we have in the world today that's prepared to do that? That's prepared to say, we are sorry, we made a mistake. And when we start getting politicians who do that, who accept that they made mistakes, I think the world is going to be a far better place. So I don't agree with the fact that this issues of Israel Palestine became the focus of the Durban Declaration, and it made us lose track of some key areas of agreement that all countries and all heads of state have agreed to. For example, everybody is opposed to oppression of one human race against another. They're all opposed to racism. These were issues that found commonality among all the participants.
Yeah,
and now to find that it's become solely about the issues in Israel and Palestine, it's very, very disappointing and sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally then, Visvin, and quickly if you can, let's leave the Israel-Palestine issue there where it is. How does the Durban Declaration operate at the moment in light of what we've seen in the past year and a bit with the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, if you look at events that have been taking place in the past few months, the Black Lives Movement, the uprisings even in South Africa, where we've experienced uprising and looting and a host of those problems around the world during the COVID. You've got the anti-vaxxers, the vaxxers, protests against lockdown. These are all taking place. In fact, the world has become a world of protests. The Durban Declaration seems to be meaningless on the ground for people where it really matters. All of this becomes talk shops. They are where people come together, they make merry, have a good meal, they discuss things and put things down on paper and reach agreement, but that does not get translated to the very communities that matter. So I think that we need to move away from these declarations now and these fancy resolutions that we take in conferences and start to translate that down to communities where it matters the most.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. The work needs to be done. Okay, Visvin Reddy from the African Democratic Change Group Organisation Party, thank you very much for being with us.